afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 5th edition of Encuentro Limitless, an event created and promoted by the Centro para el Desarrollo de Lenguas Extranjeras of the Universidad Católica Andrés Bello, with the purpose of bringing languages and people closer together. This is our second time online, so we hope you enjoy the experience. Today, I would like to invite you, first of all, to follow the CDLE through social media at CDLE_UCAP in both Twitter and Instagram, so you can see what's the agenda for the following weeks or semester or year. And well, today we have a special guest. We have Professor Marglad Bencomo. She's an electrical engineer with a master's degree in quality control, specialization in railway project management, and she's trained in telecommunications, satellites, designs, operation, and management. She has also taught in her field. She has worked for several Venezuelan universities, such as the Universidad Católica Andrés Bello, and she has participated in various congresses around the world, for instance, in the United States, the Czech Republic, Venezuela, and China. During her career, Bencomo has been part of the government's Agency for Space Activities, Director of Research and Development of the Special Unit of Electronic Warfare in the Venezuelan Army, and she has also worked for Petróleos de Venezuela. Today, Professor Bencomo will tell us about the contributions of contributions of geomatics in the development of Venezuela. So without any further ado, Professor, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Grace. Thank you for this introduction. And well, I'm here this afternoon to talk to you about the contributions of geomatics in the development of Venezuela, as Grace said. Okay. Okay. The content for this presentation includes first, what is geomatics? Second, applications of geomatics in. Here I want to introduce the disciplines and techniques that you can use for these applications according with the requirements of your projects or activities. Third, I will talk about the geomatics in Venezuela. Fourth, how the geomatics is a good tool as the decision maker support. And fifth, the conclusions. Maybe for some of you it's a new term. So geomatics can be directly associated with two terms, geos for earth and matics for informatics. Therefore, geomatics is a gear of several disciplines for the coherent management of data that describe the territory and its resource. In this slide, we can see a definition according with Gomaraska, 2010, where geomatics is defined as a systemic, multidisciplinary, integrated approach to selecting the instruments and the appropriate techniques for collecting, storing, integrating, modeling, analyzing, retrieving, at will, transforming, displaying, and distributing especially georeferenced data from different sources with well-defined accuracy, characteristic, and continuity in a digital format. As such, it serves as a working tool not only to geoscientists or geographers, but also to engineers, architects, computer scientists, urban planners, specialists in geographical information system, remote sensing, forestry, agricultural science, soil science, geometry, environmental science, and managers. Applications can be found in security, risk management, monitoring, infomobility, geopositioning, food traceability, etc. Several countries following common fundamental guidelines and procedures are developing special data infrastructure. At planet level, the dream is to realize a global spatial data infrastructure capable of managing heterogeneous sets of data and to overcome the chronic absence of interoperability among databases. This goal can be reached by implementing several special data infrastructures at local, national, and continental level, and harmonizing them in a global context. But this proposal is only possible with a great technological infrastructure to store big data quantity. One practical example is represented by infrastructure for spatial information in the European community. Other initiatives promote the collective effort for a better Earth environment by increasing our understanding of Earth's dynamic process and enhancing forecasts of our environmental conditions. Now we will see the applications of geomatics in agricultural management. Geomatics methodologies and techniques, for example, geographical information system combined with remote sensing, are essential to explore and characterize agriculture and forestry in the frame of various application and analysis. Landscape planning and management, land suitability assessment, special decision support system, and precision agriculture and forestry. Special methodologies, models, and tools can support environmental managers and planners in analyzing the interaction between location, development actions, and environmental elements in order to identify a set of effective solutions able to address multiple societal needs and demands. To manage agroforestry resource according to the economic, environmental, and social dimensions of sustainability. Such approach and procedures should examine trade-offs between often conflicting objectives alternatives. Second, we have here mineral exploration. The geomatics is important for mineral resource management. The reason for that is the continuously rising global demand for raw materials, which leads to the extraction of mineral resources in areas of geosphere that are more difficult to access. Simultaneously, the highest levels of safety as well as environmental and social regulations need to be fulfilled, and the optimal use of natural resources by maximizing recovery is desired. This requires engineers to be able to develop new innovative solutions, making the best use of most modern technology to acquire, manage, and analyze geodata. Third, we have the resources management. The optimal management of a natural resource depends on the availability of reliable and timely information at the global, national, regional, and local scales. One such technology, geoinformatics, consisting of remote sensing, geographical information system, and global positioning system is known as GPS. A source of reliable and timely information needed for natural resource management, environmental protection, and addressing issues related to sustainability development. It offers a powerful tools for resource assessment, mapping, monitoring, modeling, management, etc. It is also capable to make us present developments in the digital integration of human reasoning, data, and dynamic models. For public services, at its most fundamental level, government is a matter of geography. cities, states, and nations all have borders, and they all have the responsibility to properly manage what occurs within those borders. That's why geographic information systems are proving to be such a vital component of good government, especially at local level. In most municipalities, GIS plays a role in everything from 911 calls to major investigation before computers responding to a 911 call require physical maps. Now the location of a call can be geotagged and sent straight to the system of the police and or fire department, who can then quickly respond. For example, when seeking to decrease incidence of a specific disease, health departments can map each case of that disease and find hotspots or clusters. They can then layer the map with other information, including pollution levels, literacy levels, crime levels, etc., in an attempt to find correlations that can either help determine causation or can help guide an appropriate response to the health problem. Maybe in this context of COVID-19, we can see some maps, digital maps, and some applications where we can see the statistic of the expansion of the virus. Environment. Geomatics helps in identify the impact of human behavior on natural resources and leads to more effective utilization of the same. Data about natural resources could be collected through remote sensing, aerial photography, or satellite imagery, and then they are mapped using GIS or geographic system technology. The major application of GIS is natural resource management, is in confronting environmental issues like a flood, landslide, soil erosions, drought, earthquake, etc. It also addresses the current problem of climate change, habitat loss, population growth, pollution, etc., and provides information about land area change between time periods. The information obtained from GIS help to study specific areas and monitoring can be done in and around those areas. It provides relevant information about the environmental condition and policy, including conservation programs. We all must dedicate ourselves towards preserving our environment, and technologies like GIS can be our best friends for this purpose. Risks and disaster management. In the wake of a disaster, data-driven maps that harness technology can be a true lifesaver. Using geomatics in emergency management can make an enormous impact in mitigating, responding to, and covering from a major event. Geographical information system and emergency management revolve around planning, analysis, and action. These areas can be improved by spatial analysis, which seeks to analyze patterns of human behavior in a particular location. When used correctly, spatial analysis can help emergency responders act and prevent fatalities, injuries, and damage in order to help communities return to normalcy as quickly and safely as possible. Here are some examples of how spatial analysis can be used in emergency management. Mobilizing rescue teams and sending out real-time alert to a population at risk of being impacted by a flood, hurricane, or fire. modeling for emergency situations such as tsunami, hurricanes, chemical incident, oil spills, and forest fires, and training emergency management teams to prepare for such incidents. Combining multiple sources of information such as aerial maps, census tract data, property information, fire station and hospital locations, land use, major thoroughfares, critical infrastructure, and reports of downed electrical lines to analyze what's happening during an emergency in order to devise a cohesive response plan. Determining vulnerable populations following events such as an explosion or chemical spill. Vulnerability can apply to physical means, social means, and economic means. For geomarketing, apart from planning the advancement and business expansion, location-based knowledge can contribute to various aspects of the business operation, such as logistics, delivery, and distribution zones, determining Wi-Fi zones, and dividing sales sectors. This tool will enable enterprises to monitor the performance of their outdoor billboard campaigns or track and locate their retail and events in real time. For tourists, Geomatics provides information on tourist attractions, geographical conditions, transportation, accommodation, population, etc. Maybe some of us have had this kind of experience. For education, to understand our planet, its evolution, biodiversity, we can monitoring the educational administration, monitoring the campus and its surrounding. Maybe the youth has recently this experience with the new campus for a good ecosystem. Bank and insurance, to identify customer locations, to optimize service and identify risk. So, all of these applications and more are possible through different disciplines and techniques of geomatics. For example, computer science to represent and process applicable information through the development of technological instruments, for example, hardware, and methods on models and systems, for example, software. Geodesy to determine the shape and size of the Earth. It defines on the one hand the surface of reference and its complete form. Topography is a combination of methods and instruments to comprehensively measure and represent details of the Earth's surface. Cartography, to supply a possible description of the shape and dimension of the Earth and its natural and artificial details by means of graphical or numerical representations of more or less wide areas following fixed rules. Photogrammetry, to determine the position and shapes of the objects by measuring them on photographic images. Remote sensing, to remotely acquire territorial and environmental data and to combine methods and techniques for subsequent processing and interpretation. And global positioning system, we know this as GPS, to provide the three-dimensional position of fixed or moving objects in space and time all over the Earth's surface under any meteorological conditions and in real time. Laser scanning system to locate objects in and measure their distance between means of the incident radiation and the optical frequencies between 0.3 and 15 micrometers of the electromagnetic spectrum. Geographical information system to make use of a powerful combination of instruments capable of receiving, recording, recalling, transforming, representing, and processing georeferenced spatial data. Decision support system to implement complex geographical information system meant to create possible scenarios by modeling the ground truth and to offer a set of solutions to the decision makers. Geomatics in Venezuela. In Venezuela, there are some institutions with capability to acquire, process, and generate geomatic products. Here, I only will mention some of them. As you see in this slide, one of them is the Bolivarian Agency for Space Activities, which operates 2 remote sensing satellites, BRSS-1 and BRSS-2, better known as Miranda and Sucre satellite, respectively, with good specifications for different kind of geomatics application. The Simón Bolívar Geographical Institute of Venezuela is the National Cartographic Agency of Venezuela. It is responsible for producing and providing the official territorial information on geography, cartography, and the country's cadastre. The Engineering Institute Foundation for Technological Research and Development, through its Image Digital Processing Center, and Ministry of Ecosocialism, which is in charge with protecting the environment and confronting the threat of climate change. There are some private organizations in the country which are working with geomatics too, as Geodrone, Agrocognitive, Updrone, etc. Venezuela has highly specialized professionals with long experience in various disciplines of geomatics. However, many university study programs at the national level could contribute to the development of geospatial skills in different professions as a key element for the progressive constructions of a national spatial data infrastructure. For the geomatic for decision makers support, well, geomatics provides a powerful set of tools for collecting, storing, retrieving, at will, processing, transforming, and displaying referenced spatial data in adequate scenarios of the real world, so as to supply the decision makers with objective elements of evaluation of environmental problems, not only at government level. You can use it at enterprise level and user level, including for your academic research to the university. You can use some satellite image for free, available and in different websites. As conclusions, we have the advancement of technology makes it possible to see the geographical space not only from the physical point of view, but also with a great accumulation of information that can be stored, analyzed, and managed for its safe and timely use in governmental and business decision making and at the user level, as we saw in the before slide. Venezuela is a country with many resources and with great potentials, in which geomatics can provide the information and tools necessary for its proper management for the for the benefit of society, its development, and its sustainability. I believe that basic geomatics should be a mandatory subject in all careers, because in any area of job, performance, or research, the connection of the human being with his environment is important for making decisions. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank for your participation in this presentation, and a special thanks to CDLE UCAP for allowing me to come with this important topic in this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. And if anyone has any questions, you can either write them on the questions and answers section, or please just raise your hand and someone will open the microphone for you. If you have any questions, you can ask them now. Anyone?
Grace, I would like to...
Well, sorry, Miguel Roballo has a question. Do you want us to open the microphone for you? Okay. Wait a sec.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I just have any question regarding the COVID situation and the geomatic application. And I don't know if we have any like a exposure notification to get notified of possible exposure areas or by state or specific areas in Venezuela when we could be on the risk of COVID. If there is any specific application that is running at the moment with that, or any example where we can track the different cases using geomatic for the pandemic.
Hello, Miguel. How are you? Well, we are working together with IBIC, which is the institute in charge of the statistics of COVID-19. So we are working together, but there's no public application of, in geomatics for the monitoring of COVID cases. Maybe it's because the government think that this strategic information, maybe, to share to all people. But in ABAE, we worked at the beginning of the pandemic. We worked about in some application for COVID monitoring, but it's not for public access. Sorry.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
I would like to share an information because, you know, ABAE, the Bolivarian Agency for Space Activities, which is in charge of monitoring remote sensing satellites and distribution of these some geomatics products, maybe the researchers has the possibility to get images, satellite image, to some academic research. So I think it's a good tool to develop some purpose for the development in different disciplines or economic, productive, and business areas here in Venezuela. So I think many of researchers can use this benefit.
Do we have any more questions? Well, I have a question for you, Professor. You talk about the possible development for Venezuela in this specific area, which is very broad, you know. But what would you say is the current status of geomatics right now in the country? Do you think it could be better than it is today?
I think we are improving the geomatics in Venezuela, but I think it's better if many researchers work together to generate new investigation, new research about these different kind of topics or applications. And I think that new proposals in geomatics can increase our capabilities, professional capabilities, and technological capabilities to many solutions of many problems here in Venezuela. As I said, you can use geomatics for transportation, for distribution of foods, of oil, of maybe social studies. And now we are, for example, we can use the geomatics tools for new projects that we can use to find financial support for international organizations as United Nations that has financial resource for research about agriculture, forest, climate change, and in Venezuela we have this kind of experience working in projects with, for example, FAO, and with good and positive results. So I think that if the education system in Venezuela, especially in university, include geomatics topics in some studies program, we can improve much better the geomatics implementation in Venezuela.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other questions for Professor Marglad? Well, I think that's about it, I think. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today, Professor. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much to all participants and for CDLE UCAP. Thank you very much.